You were all listening so beautifully to that I don't feel the need to ring the gong to let you know that it's time to start. My name is Mary, and I would like us to start off this Labor Day Sunday service with a rousing rendition As We Come Marching, Marching. This is at page 109 in the Grey Hymnal, and hopefully also on the slides behind me. Please rise as you are willing and able, and let us begin by joining our voices in song to As We Come Marching, Marching.
In case you're following along with your hymnal, we are making a little tweak to the words in verse 4. It's going to be, as we come marching, marching, we heed the greater call. The rising of the women means the rising of us all. So it'll be up here on the screen. So if you want to just look up at the screen for verse 4, you'll be good.
Isn't it lovely to have the summer choir out here singing with gusto and kind of keeping us on track? So welcome to the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. As I say, my name is Mary, and I'm delighted to be your worship associate this morning. Whether you are taking part in this worship celebration from your home or wherever else you may be, whenever you may log on, you are welcome here. We acknowledge that our FirstU campus is located on traditional, unsurrendered and unceded Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory, and that the work of reconciliation is a responsibility of our congregation and of all Canadians. Our goal is to educate ourselves and all those that have the willingness to understand, to be of service to those who are at risk, and to advocate for justice. Do take care and take advantage of online opportunities at FirstU to stay in touch during this continuing pandemic. If you are new to FirstU and would like to learn more about us, please contact us through our email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. And if you are right here in Worship Hall with us this morning and you would like more information about FirstU, it is available at the welcome table at the back of the pews, and Agnes will be there to greet you after the service. And we welcome back, most sincerely, Jen as our music director. We welcome Justine de Jaegher as our guest speaker this morning. I won't tell him the joke. On this Labor Day weekend, Justine will be reflecting on the philosophical links between the trade union movement and communities of faith, such as First Unitarian Ottawa. And now here is Phil from our board to highlight our announcements for today.
Well, it's September and it's announcement season, but they'll all be short. The annual Child Haven fundraising dinner is being held Saturday, September the 16th, in Fellowship Hall. Come out and support Child Haven. That's a worthy cause. Tickets are for sale after the service today and next Sunday in Fellowship Hall. Adults, $75 and children, $25. It is a fundraiser. Cash or check only. If you want to use a credit card, please go to the Child Haven website. The fall edition of The Spire, our quarterly magazine, is now coming to your mailboxes. If you want to see it and you do not receive it, you can go to the website. Don't click on Welcome, but click on Communications. Scroll down, and there you will find it. And now here's Jen, fresh back from maternity leave, with some choir announcements. Gentlemen especially, listen.
Thank you for the plug. First, I would love to just say hello and thank you for that warm welcome. I feel so much joy being back here this morning, and it's so wonderful. So I'm very glad to be here. Choir is going to start, not this week coming, so not the one just about to happen, but next week. So for Three Rivers, that is for Fusion, that is September 11th. For Three Rivers, that is September 13th. And for Chalice, that is September 14th. So it's the same days and times as you are used to. We very much welcome new members, especially in Chalice. If you're curious about joining the choir, please feel free to come on the 14th, but also next Sunday, so that's the 10th, I'm throwing a lot of dates at you, but next Sunday the 10th, I'm gonna have a little drop-in choir before the service. So if you come at 9:45 before the service, you can learn a little piece of music. You don't need to read music to do it, so please come no matter your ability level, you are welcome. And you can consider that a little warm-up or trial maybe for if you'd like to join us in Chalice on the 14th. So, choir coming back very soon. And actually coming back today a little bit as well during the service. So, thank you so much.
And now here's Donna with an environmental announcement.
Hi, I'm Donna Bowen-Willer from the Environmental Action Group. So September's here and we're back. Our first advocacy this fall is to support Fridays for Future at the Global Climate Strike on Parliament Hill. You can see that poster down there, September 15 at 1 p.m. We're looking for lots of people to be there. Look for the FirstU banner, and Tall David in his tall Canadian hat will be there. Volunteers are needed. Mike's back there today if you would like to volunteer for postering, for marshalling, for any of those things, see Mike. And our new September environmental action is going to go on all year. Down here, we have a recycler, TerraCycle, who works to recycle things that the city doesn't. And it works with various retailers to fund free recycling programs for their customers. So FirstU is going to try one of these programs. The Ethical Bean Coffee Company will pay to recycle both its own, the flexible coffee bags and those of other brands. So bring these. There will be a box labeled in the office where sort of the new volunteer area is, and leave them there. There are these kind of bags, no pods, no jars, no tins, but flexible coffee bags. And we'll see how this works, and maybe we'll do some others other than that. And there's lots more information in the EUU, on the climate action page, and the September Spire has several articles too. So read all of those and get up to date on where the AG is going this next month or so. Thanks a lot.
And finally, this is an announcement about the 2024 Pledge Campaign. This year's Pledge Campaign starts September 24th with Reverend Eric kickoff the Sermon on the Amount. But many of you are ready, even anxious, to get your pledge in early, to renew your commitment, and to give the campaign a good start. So the online pledge form is available now. You can click on the link in the email we sent out recently, or you can go to the website, click on Welcome, and click on the annual pledge campaign. You can find paper pledge forms and a place to leave them in the volunteer room. Now, the pledge campaign is going to be quiet for a few weeks, but remember, we're only a click away. Oh, it's Freddie the Fisherman. Oh, Freddie, come on up and tell us what you caught.
Hello, Phil lad. I'm Freddie the Fisherman, and I've been out fishing, catching great big fish. We're planning on having a fish fry this Thursday, September 7th, to celebrate homecoming. All of you are welcome. It'll be from 4:30 to 6:30. Stick around till 7 if you'd like. And if anyone would like to volunteer, please check the EUU for information. We've got 2 shifts, one from 4 till 5:30, one from 5:30 till 7. After the service today, you can pick up tickets for the fish fry from Mariella, who will be wandering around. There she is. Or you can just arrive on Thursday and buy a ticket there. Yay, congregation. Yay, fish.
Thank you, Freddie. Freddie will be wearing that costume on Thursday outside. It's going to be 30 degrees when he does that. We encourage you to sign up to receive the EUU, our weekly email newsletter. Check our Facebook and Instagram pages and our website for notices and updates. Our calendar continues to be as full as ever, though as global health challenges continue, some of our activities still take place online. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, and whoever you are, today you are part of our spiritual community, and you're welcome.
Thank you for all these announcements, everyone. I hope your brains are not bulging right now. It's all important stuff, and you can find more about it by asking people or on the website or in the EUU. So lots of good things. So now we're going to calm down a little bit with the chalice lighting. To begin our morning's reflection on the gifts and challenges of labor coexisting with spirituality, we light our chalice this morning to these words of inspiration by Edward Everett Hale. And he said, "I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do." Our chalice is lit. Come, let us worship together. Each week we pause in our time together in recognition of both the joy and sorrow in our lives and across the globe. We honor our celebrations and challenges by placing a stone in a bowl of water. As the ripples extend outward, we can imagine them continuing out beyond this small bowl, out through and past our pews, out into the larger community of all. So before I start, we do have a bit of a joy, I guess I will announce it now. It's an update on Alex Campbell, for those who know Alex. He came home from the hospital on Friday, and they are in isolation for 7 days. So good to have him home. And now, I invite you to come forward in silence to put a stone in a bowl of water. Please come down both aisles. Just before we leave Joys and Sorrows, there's a caring card at the back for David Pohl, an emeritus minister of our congregation, with sympathy on the death of his wife Martha at age 90 on August the 14th, 2023. Now, to tell you a bit about David, though some of you will have known him well, he was the minister who made the transition to our current building from Elgin and Lewis Streets. There will be several in the congregation who remember his work here and his subsequent positions within the broader Unitarian Universalist Association, serving Canadians as well as those in the United States. So his wife, Martha, passed away on August the 14th. So there's a caring card, as I say, at the back of the hall for us to sign, and even if you don't know them, this is a way for us to extend our care on behalf of those who gave so much of their hearts to this community. And now the centering words from Justine.
Good morning, everyone. So the reading is an excerpt of Raising Expectations by Jane McAlevey. Jane McAlevey is an American union organizer and an author. Organizing at its core is about raising expectations, about what people should expect from their jobs, the quality of life they should aspire to, how they ought to be treated when they are old, and what they should be able to offer their children, about what they have a right to expect from their employer, their government, their community, and their union. Expectations about what they themselves are capable of, about the power they could exercise if they worked together, and what they might use that collective power to accomplish. Ultimately, expectations are about where they will find meaning in their lives and the kinds of relationships they can build with those around them. Whole worker organizing begins with the recognition that real people do not live two separate lives, one beginning when they arrive at work and punch the clock, and another when they punch out at the end of their shift. The pressing concerns that bear down on them every day are not divided into two neat piles, only one of which is of concern to unions. At the end of each shift, workers go home through streets that are sometimes violent, past their kids' crumbling schools, to their often substandard housing, where the tap water is likely unsafe. Whole worker organizing seeks to engage whole workers in the betterment of their lives, to keep them consistently acting in their self-interest while constantly expanding their vision of who that self-interest includes, from their immediate peers to their unit, to their shift, their workplace, their street, their kids' school, their community, their watershed, their nation, and their world. Whole worker organizing is a continuous process. Unions and other social movement organizations are always fascinated by the power of organized religion, a power they often try to borrow through mostly opportunistic alliances with religious leaders. They mistakenly think that the reason people show up at a place of worship week after week to donate their hard-earned money is because of their religious faith alone. But the reason that regular participation in organized religion strengthens their faith is that it offers a structure in which they can deal with all their tangled and complicated concerns continuously, year in and year out. Because of this, organized religion raises the expectation of what kind of life they can aspire to.
I have a very, very short intro here for Justine. Most of you know Justine. She's a member of our congregation, and those who are new here, Justine de Jaegher. So Justine has been a member of FirstU since 2018. She and her wife, Tara, both work for labor unions, Justine in political action and Tara in human rights. Today, Justine will be reflecting on how the labor principle of bargaining for the common good might intersect with faith and spirituality. Welcome.
Thanks so much. Okay, good morning again. I'm back. It's a pleasure to be with you all this Labor Day Sunday. I was invited to deliver another reflection as part of the summer service series, and I was, searching for a topic. And of course, I needn't look further than my calendar. When I noticed the day, I figured Labor Day, I can work with that. At worst, I could sing Solidarity Forever on a loop for 15 minutes and call it a day. I have, however, prepared something I hope a bit more thoughtful. We'll see. All right, so trade unionism, interestingly, is seeing something of a renaissance lately. This has been in contrast to the several decades of decline in union membership, particularly in the private sector in most of the world. But last year, we saw record strike action in the education sectors in Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom, to name a few. We also saw the formation of the Amazon labor union and the unionization of several Starbucks. But as I noted, these moments have not been reflective of trends over the past 4 decades. The trend there has been really of substantial union membership decline. Now, interestingly, this period of decline also reflects a similar decline in affiliation with religion or religious groups. Now, an overly simplistic analysis might suggest that both of these trends are the result of increased priority of the individual over the collective, but of course there are many other reasons for both union and religious organization decline. Won't go into those today. I think that's a topic for an academic paper and maybe not a reflection, but throwing it out there. What I will discuss today, however, is that unions and religious and social and community organizations are at an important point in history to center the communities they represent. That these bodies are not monoliths, but rather the product of the ambition, work, belief, and embeddedness of the people that are a part of them. Timothy Snyder, in his book On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century, writes, "It is institutions that help us to preserve decency. They need our help as well. Do not speak of our institutions unless you make them yours by acting on their behalf. Institutions do not protect themselves. They fall one after the other unless each is defended from the beginning. So choose an institution you care about, a court, a newspaper, a law, a labor union, and take its side." This kind of thinking is reflective of what we in the labor community call an organizing model, or a model whereby the members of the organization, be it a union, a community group, a nonprofit, or a church, feel they are an integral part of that organization's functioning and direction. In short, it's democratic principles of organizing, where people don't see themselves as distinct from the institution, but as an integral part of it. So rather than saying the union provides insurance against bad bosses, it's I'm part of a movement with my fellow workers to help raise standards in the workplace. Or instead of the church isn't doing enough on issue X, it's when I work with my fellow congregants, we can make real gains in pushing for that issue. Which is not to say that institutions should be free from criticism, just that the organizing model demands that workers, or members, feel they are embedded within that institution and its decisions. Now, these institutions, and for today's purposes, communities of faith and labor unions, share the commonality that they ideally can present a tool through which basic needs are met. So through the union, that could mean quality wages, benefits, job security, among others. Through the church, that could mean community, spiritual fulfillment, among others. But they can also be so much more. Among organized workers, these discussions have been particularly present of late. Principles of bargaining for the common good, for example, whereby unions bargain for community and societal benefits reaching beyond their own membership. For example, bargaining for basic energy efficiencies or carbon neutrality in new buildings an employer proposes to combat the climate crisis. Or bargaining for indigenization and reconciliation trainings and actions in the workplace. Or yet again, divestment of employer holdings from for-profit prisons. These are all examples. Under this model, the union bargains for more than the meat and potatoes of member wages and benefits, but seeks to use their more powerful bargaining position, as compared to the unorganized or unemployed, to seek workplace changes furthering wider progress. As a UU community of faith, I actually believe that this has long been our approach, though one it is good to be reminded of. We of course exist to provide a space for spiritual reflection and prayer for some, for community, for marking life's milestones, and for providing comfort in death. However, we are also deeply committed to what our community can achieve that impacts beyond our bread and butter and meat and potatoes raison d'être. The recent affordable housing commitments, projects focused on reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, and our congregation's commitment to climate action are all evidence of this. Our relevance is not only to what we do within these four walls, but the changes we might help further outside of them. Of course, bargaining for those bread and butter issues like wages and benefits is also important and not selfish. History has shown us that people bargaining for better for themselves, for their families, their colleagues, and their communities has ripple effects. It raises the bar for everyone. And like with the historical demands of working people, bold actions by communities of faith can eventually turn the tide towards widespread progress and the establishment of practices and norms that are now considered part of everyday life. We often hear that it's thanks to unions and unionized workers that many of us have the weekend, or at least minimum days and hours off to rest. It's also true that Canada's relatively robust system of maternity and parental leave are the result of workers' efforts, and the list goes on. While generally accepted now, these changes were at one point surely believed to be unrealistic, naive, and/or radical. So too were many of the views of leaders we now consider prophetic, and so too were many of the actions of this very congregation, from supporting same-sex marriage in the early days of that debate in Canada, to more recently ceding land for Indigenous housing development. As Dean Detloff puts it in a recent Sojourners magazine article citing historian Robin D.G. Kelly, a moral vision expands the horizon of organizing one union drive or bargaining campaign, which could provide a firmer ground for organizing down the road. It's one thing for workers to say, we can't keep taking pay cuts because we can't afford to pay our bills, our rent, or feed our children. It's another thing to say it's immoral. We can't live in a society that allows companies and governments to allow people to live in such precarity. At the end of the day, communities of faith and communities of workers can hopefully raise the bar for everyone by stating in a clear voice that everyone is deserving of respect, of quality housing, of safe drinking water, of education, of healthcare, of community and social bonds, and of spiritual enrichment. Coming out of the pandemic and a period of relative isolation that I think has been festering for actually decades, I believe that people are looking for a community and for meaning. People may find that in a sports team, a family, a support group, or indeed a labor union or a congregation like ours. Now, another topic of discussion in labor circles, and one that was highlighted in the earlier reading, is that of whole worker organizing. So the idea that people are so much more than the jobs that they hold, and that if union organizing is to succeed in making real gains for working people, their efforts must reflect this fact. Workers are also often parents, volunteers, coaches, people of faith, environmentalists, housing advocates, and so much more. The principle of solidarity, by extension, must extend beyond just showing up at the picket line when other workers go on strike, but also showing up for things like climate marches, to protest Islamophobia and protect mosques from violent attack, to even delivering food to a grieving or struggling member. Again, our institutions are what we make them, and if we make them relevant to the whole worker, or perhaps the whole congregant, we will yield better results. Again, communities of faith like ours, I think, are in many ways leading the way. We get to know each other at coffee hour, taking special care to welcome newcomers with green mugs. We encourage congregants to bring their ideas and their talents to the table to strengthen our congregation. And we too show up at climate rallies, speak out against rising transphobia, and raise awareness around the need for mental health services. Institutions like ours are important and worth protecting. They are strengthened by our active participation. And what everyone is able to contribute may look different, but everyone's contributions are valid. Our institution, like I would argue, workers' organizations, is not a relic of a bygone era, but perhaps one that is needed now more than ever. The UU First Principle speaks to the inherent worth and dignity of every person. I might suggest adapting the whole worker organizing framework to a whole congregant spirituality. That seeing the divine or the inherent worth and dignity of all people requires associated action for congregants to experience spiritual fulfillment. In short, that reflections and services are a necessary condition for spiritual fulfillment, but perhaps not a sufficient one. And because I couldn't help myself, I will end with, yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one, but the union, or perhaps this congregation, makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justine. I personally was thinking a lot during that about how also many of the things you were saying apply to sort of collective singing and collective singing traditions, which is probably why there's such a wonderful and rich history of music that is associated with labor movements and with unions, as well as with congregations and faith traditions. So. So today we're going to learn one of those pieces, one that I'm fond of. This is called Rich Man's House. It's by Anne Feeney. And we'll start by, I'll just sing it once through. You're going to have words on the screen, so you can feel free to sing along. You may want to listen the first time. And then we'll start it again from the top once you've had a chance to hear the tune once. All right. Yeah. All right, perfect. Okay, so it sounds like, well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me, took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me, took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Now he's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Now it's been pointed out to me, I miscounted the under my feet. There should be 4, not 3. So that's what happens when you're getting up with a baby 2 times in the night, I guess. So 4 under my feet. So let's try it all once together. And choir, choir. This is an impromptu choir. They just learned this morning, but they were all here, so now they're singing. So you can sing along with us. So let's try it again. And feel free to sing along, body percuss, add harmony, whatever you would like to do. So, 3, 2. Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Now he's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Well, I went down to the boss's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Now I went down to the rich man's house. Took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Now he's under my feet. Under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Well, I went down to the company and I took back what they stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. And I went down to the company and I took back what they stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Now they're under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Well, I went down to the CEO and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Well, I went went down to the CEO and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Now he's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Now he's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me.
Thank you, Jen and choir. Am I not on? Yes? I invite the ushers to start passing the baskets at this time. This congregation has a long history of care, vitality, and bringing people together to move the arc of justice forward. We have been able to live into our hopes and dreams because of the generosity of those within and beyond this community. Whether you are here in Worship Hall or anywhere else, you are part of this community. To make a gift in support of the work of this congregation, you don't need to use the baskets that are now beginning to make their way among our pews. Wherever you are, you're invited to go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how to make a donation or keep up with your pledge. Our gifts are freely given and gratefully received. We dedicate these gifts to the work of this community of faith, serving human wholeness, caring for the planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. And now let us sing together once more. Please rise in body and or spirit as we sing Just As Long As I Have Breath, page 6 in your gray hymnal. Please be seated. Before we begin to close this time of worship and reflection, a reminder that coffee hour will begin in Fellowship Hall, over here, immediately after this service. If you're here for the first time, or if you have been here before but still feel a little new, I have to show you a green mug. And we invite you to pick up a green mug as you enter Fellowship Hall, and then get coffee or tea from the main table. Excuse me, and other beverages are available at the counter. Your green mug will help us to recognize you as someone who is or feels new and allow us to greet you individually. We hope you come back often. For those watching from home, the informal online fellowship hour will start up again today at noon. You can find the Zoom link on our website or in the EUU. You can subscribe to the EUU, our weekly newsletter, on the communications page of the church website. And finally, leafy greens, courtesy of the good folks of Ajaski, are available for those who would like some from the Grow Towers, through the door, underneath the exit sign, in the old volunteer room near Fellowship Hall. Please help yourselves. So we extinguish this chalice to this well-known verse by Elizabeth Celi Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. This morning's chalice is extinguished, but the spark of our connections and faith remains. Jen and singers, will you bless us once again with a closing song? For the benediction, I'd like you to read Barbara Peskin's reflection titled, "Because of Those Who Came Before," and may it be our inspiration. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. And now, as we return to the challenge of helping the world come alive in love, let us go forward in peace, my friends. Go in peace.